Oh man, it has been so long since we've been able to get on the mic, get on the camera, get on the stream, and talk to you guys about all things HCS. What's going on? My name is Ashes, and with me is the most handsome rock star on the planet, Hunter JJX. How are you doing, brother?
I'm doing good, man. I feel like I stepped into some kind of like time warp.
I don't know if
I
I can
you,
hear you. I can't hear you.
let me see.
Chat, let me know if you can hear him because I can't.
Can you guys hear me?
I see his lips moving.
Can I be heard? I don't know. Let me see.
I
Hang on.
don't
Let me
think it's
check.
on my end, but it could be. Who knows? Anyways, we've got an exciting show.
Yeah.
Hopefully you guys can hear me. I felt like I could hear you before we loaded in, by the way. So I don't know what's
I'm definitely
changed.
coming through the.
There you
I'm
are.
definitely coming through the show. By the way, I just unmuted on Discord, but I just
Okay.
checked on the stream and they can definitely
Okay.
hear me. So, anyways, what I was saying is, I feel like I jumped into a little time warp because I literally was on opening break with you. Was like, oh, I'm heading on tour, and then I went on tour and I came back and immediately back into opening break, and it feels like no time has passed, but also so much has passed. And then like when it comes to Halo World, like so much can change in 2 weeks. Obviously, we have a lot to dive in and talk about.
Yeah.
I'm excited to do it with you, man.
Yeah. You missed a whole roster mania. Obviously a little bit of the post Arlington stuff you probably saw because that was like right around when you were leaving for tour. First off, before we get into it, how was tour? You want to let people know like what you were up to, what you were doing, because it's really sick.
Yeah, no, I had a blast. I went out with a band called Caskets. They're some of my really good friends. They're from the UK, and it was Memphis Mayfire, us, Windwalkers, who is one of the freaking best upcoming bands on the planet. And a band called Elijah. And yeah, went out with them, made sure production stuff would run smooth. I'm just a big nerd, bro. So I'm just doing computer stuff. But also yesterday we dropped our first song together that I worked on with them. I was in the studio working on their new album with them. So we have a new single out as well called Make Me Martyr. Make sure you check that out. But yeah, it's been an awesome 2 weeks. But I mean, let's be honest, even when I was gone, I was in my bunk watching HCS, like keeping up with scrims, bugging you about stuff, talking roster moves. So glad to be back in the saddle, back in the mix with you, man. And yeah, I could not be more excited with where we're at. Optimistic. Skies are looking real blue, but man, every roster, it feels like everybody like blew up.
Yeah, there was a lot of changes that happened. Obviously the first things that we saw after Arlington were TSM letting go of Cherished. There was a lot of questions around what was going to go on with the LGs and the teams like that. Gen Z, nothing about them. They seem to be staying strong, and as of so far, they are. And then we saw Cloud9 make a change, which
Surprising.
It's surprising given that they got top 6. It's not surprising because I told Mental the moment that he got dropped by TSM, like way back before we signed him, I was like, all right, like Joey's next, Cherish is going to get dropped next for Manny, and they're going to get the band back together.
100%. When Cherish got let go, and I saw the internet discourse of like, oh, I wonder who they're going to pick up. Like, I can't, like, there's so many options. I was like, are you guys, is this a joke? Like, we all know who they're picking up. Like, he's pretty much been on the team the whole time. You might as well pretend that Cherish and all these other people never happened. It's like, it was always going to be Manny. Like, they all had massive success together. They're best friends. They broke apart and never quite like, they were the third best team in the whole league when, with that KCP roster, especially the end of Halo 5, early in the Infinite. And they never quite have captured that, like, hey, we're a dog to beat here in the mix. Like, they've had moments, on different rosters here and there, but the sum of its parts is greater than, them all scattered around. So it was not a shocker to see Manny back there, but I mean, it works out for us, right? Because we ended up with Cherish, who is an absolute all-star, amazing up-and-coming talent. But we'll dive into all that and how that all played out in a bit.
Yeah, we'll get to that. So just to go through sequence events, I believe TSM makes their move. I think that it was already decided, like Manny's coming over. So then C9's in a position where they got to make their move. Incognito definitely, or let's see, Triggers down, and what were they at the event? I don't remember, but that team
Infamous,
that had been
right?
Infamous. You're right, Infamous. So that was Lethal, Collect, Descendant, and Ezo, I believe. That team kind of came into the roster mania period, the post-event roster mania period, knowing that they weren't going to stick together. yeah, according to Collect on his stream, he's talking about like, yeah, we came out of that like Jason's gone, Descendants getting dropped. I know that there was just a lot of issues in that team.
That's probably my
So
least favorite team personality wise at the last event. I'm not gonna lie. Like I'm gonna go like the egos on some of those guys over there, absolutely out of control. Absolutely outrageous for people who've never won an event. People who have can't maintain a salary spot. Can't stay on a partner team to save their lives. Like cool, I guess. You know what I mean? Like every man for himself. But glad to see. I definitely am still a huge Lethal fan for sure. I think he's extremely underrated still. Really, it was kind of shocking though that he ended up getting grabbed by Cloud9, right? I mean, when you look at that whole roster, when you look at Ezo, Lethal, Collect, Descendant, and you look at, hey, I'm going to poach one of these 4 players, like 9 out of 10 teams, I think, are going to go for one of the younger, like flashy players. But I think, I don't know exactly what happened in the war room at Cloud9, but I would imagine Boo Boo probably had a lot to do with that. Like, hey, like we need some like stability, some mature leadership, like someone who's a vet. You know what I mean? So that's how I, kind of figure it played out in my head. But who knows, right? Who knows how they ended up landing on Lethal?
Oh yeah, I'm sure that was the case. I mean, like if you look at Cloud9's options at the point in time, obviously there is discourse about Luminosity, like they were splitting up or maybe splitting up. Like clearly they weren't going to be teaming together anymore with that same 4. And then you have I'm drawing a blank. You just said the name. I keep wanting to say Incognito, Infamous.
Yeah,
too many I names. The
yeah.
Infamous roster is clearly splitting up. So if you kind of look at like what pieces are on the table, you've got Collects, you've got Descendants, you've got Ezos. Though I don't think Ezo had a very good event. You have Avices. You have like there's a lot of options to pick. So I think bringing in another veteran player. I mean, Lethal, in my opinion, was playing some of the best Halo of his life end of last season. So I think it only made sense to kind of bring him back. And I'm sure Boo Boo probably saw that, being there teaming with him on Sentinels. Like, hey, this is championship form Lethal again. So I think it makes sense that they're going with this more like veteran focused roster. They've got Septify to kind of be their young gun. Sab is still doing his thing and always putting up big numbers. So I think they've got a good mix. I'm sure it caught some people off guard, but like when you kind of sit back and think about it, of course they're going to go for that comfort pick in Lethal.
Yeah, and when you think about the ratio last event, like if we go to Arlington and we go down all the placings and you go like vet versus like up and comer, right? I think the vets pretty much dominated the whole event if you look at the placings and who landed where. So the LAN buff still a thing, LAN experience still a thing people are going after. But I got to put you on the spot, Nick, a little bit. I gotta toot my own horn for a second here. I mean, I'm pretty sure the second that TSM move happened, I think I texted you one word and it was just cherished with the full stop after it.
I'll give you props. You definitely did. And I'm pretty sure I said hell no.
Yeah, I wasn't gonna say that part. I wasn't gonna throw you under the bus all the way, but glad you just laid down and you took it like a champ. But really cool to see the way things played out. Obviously really excited, but why don't you walk us through a little bit more of how all the way that the roster changes affected our roster, our mindset, how that all played out?
Yeah, so it's it's kind of a tough subject to answer because I don't want to speak too much into like personal details and stuff.
Yeah.
We had every intention of keeping the roster together and just working through the problems that we had. Clearly Arlington was a really disappointing finish. And then even the first open series that happened right after Arlington, like the following weekend, the bad habits were still there. We had one-on-one talks. I had one-on-one talks with everybody on the team. We had a big team meeting to kind of summarize all those one-on-one talks and like figure out what the path forward was. What are the things that everyone needs to work on? How do we change what we're doing in order to be successful and achieve the success that we wanted to achieve? And everybody's flaws were kind of pointed out to them so that they could work on them. Everybody's mistakes in game were pointed out to them, all the things to work on. And we knew that it wasn't going to be like a flip of the switch, but there's still like in a week's time we expected, I think everybody expected out of everyone else there to be some progress. Like I know I had things I needed to work on too, and that was part of my one-on-ones was getting feedback from everybody. And after the first open, you know, we had 2 days of that. I don't remember who we lost to, but those losses, you know, it kind of re-exposed those issues and showed that like, hey, those steps weren't really being taken, at least to the level of expectations that everybody on the team had. And so the team decided, or you know, the team that remains decided that there was a change that was needed, and it was really, really tough to decide that because obviously, you know, Precision's a fantastic player. You're going to see him at the top of the scoreboard almost every single game of his career because he's just that good. And then Huss is obviously, you know, you and I have talked in length about Huss. He's a fantastic teammate out of game and in game, and then he does the dirty work. You know, he's kind of like an APG on the World Championship optic. Like he's doing the stuff that doesn't look pretty on the scoreboard, but is opening up the openings for the team. But what the team was looking for was a little bit more consistency, and I think that the change warranted, or the change was going to hopefully lead, or is going to hopefully lead to that consistency. Just all around for the team, both in game and out of game. And so that's why, like, you know, people were like reading into the fact that I retweeted, you know, Precision's free agent tweet for some reason, which like, I didn't even think that was a weird thing. I was just like, this guy's a little brother to me. I hate that we had to make a roster change. I hate that we had to let him go. I hate that we had to let Huss go. I support the decision because it's what the team thinks is best for the team, but like it still sucks. Those guys, it's just like when we let go of Breaking Shot, like it still sucks. And I want what's best for those guys. And so of course I'm going to tweet out that or retweet his free agent post. Like I know people in the community he might not know. I know orgs that he doesn't know. Like if there's anything that I can do to help him be successful in his career, absolutely I'm going to do that. And a retweet's the least I could, you know, possibly.
Yeah, we want to see our boys find a home, right? Like we spent lots of valuable quality time with these people inside and outside of the game. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
And that matters. And the way you exit matters. The way you make hard decisions matter. It's one of those things that I think you and I have talked about before. It's like you can only burn so many bridges in a scene that's as small as ours when it comes to like the top level talent. Like if all you do is burn your bridges everywhere you go, eventually you land in a spot where you're like, well, now I have nowhere to go. You never know what happens in the future. Like I could see Precision being back on the roster in a couple months. You just never know, right? Like it just so shout out to you, obviously having to be a part of hard decisions and have hard conversations. I'm curious, you know, for folks watching at home that don't understand the business side a little bit more, like it almost seems like there was two separate teams of two kind of that like formed. You know, you had the Sparty and Mental on one side and you have Huss and Precision were good friends on the other side. Like for you, was there a decision that had to be made there about which two you would build with moving forward? Was it like pretty clear in your mind? Like walk me through your thought process there on that.
Yeah, I mean, it came down to a team discussion and a team decision. Like we knew that the roster change was important because of what we were looking to achieve. And we knew that it was going to be a tough decision, and it wasn't really a factor of like, okay, do I want to go with Sparty and Mental or do I want to go with Precision and Huss? Like Precision and Huss aren't on the same team right now. They're not, I don't even think there was talks of them going somewhere as a duo package. Because like there was just, you know, like the chemistry that we were trying to build just wasn't there between everybody. And so I think that the way I was looking at it is like I obviously really value Mental's input. I'm probably a little bit biased in that. I really value Spartan's like I am a little bit biased. I really value, you know, Spartan's input because he, you know, is a pretty straight shooter. He cuts it and tells you how he sees it. So when they were on the same page about things, then that's when I knew like I needed to, like, I'm not going to be the kind of manager or coach that's going to be like, nope, I decide what the roster is and you guys are going to tough it out. Like, or no, I want this player on the team. And so, I was kind of put into like, okay, I support this decision, but like I'm going to play devil's advocate through this whole discussion and I'm going to argue the other side because I want to make sure this is well thought out and you guys know exactly what we're doing.
Dang, that's really sick.
And so as we discussed it, like we figured out like kind of what made sense, what we were looking for, what we thought might help us improve. And so then we started talking options. and Cherished, and so there was a team of Cherished, Collect, Yaxon, and Avicii who got second in the Open. And obviously, like, they were playing hot, they looked good. They only lost to SSG in the finals, so like really strong, kind of fresh honeymooning roster with a lot of talent. And so that's going to be the prime, place of pickings, obviously. And we felt like Cherished will bring a sense of leadership to the team that we kind of lacked. Like, there wasn't that just somebody who could give the IGL like suggestions and flow to the team. And then obviously losing Precision is losing a lot of firing power, and we knew that we needed a young gun, or someone who could kind of match that pace that Precision gave to the team. And we had our eyes on Avicii. We honestly looked at Collect a bit. I think we didn't really consider Yaxon at all, but we knew that Cherished was the right one to kind of fill like what Huss was, and maybe elevate that just with leadership characteristics and more experience. And we decided to go with the young gun because me, and I love the up and comers, and that's kind of what the players wanted as well. And so yeah, it seemed like to work out. And shout out to LG for obviously making the transition super easy for Avicii to come over to us. They were fantastic. And that's that. Now we're figuring out how to match each other's pace and get our stuff together in 2 weeks for DreamHack.
I don't know if people even realize this, but if you go look at the stats from Worlds last year, that when TSM had that crazy run and got top 4 with Cherished on the roster, like
yeah,
he pretty much led the squad in every single category. Like, just insane stats if you go back and take a look at him. So really stoked to have him. I've known Cherished for a really long time. Actually, I used to play like Apex with him back in the day. Like, we played other games. He's always been like really passionate, but I think he was just too young, at the time. And Infinite's kind of like his perfect time to break out. But I want you to talk to the people about Avicii a little bit. Tell the folk, like, because we're one of the few partnered franchise teams left. So when it comes to like options, we can pretty much get anyone who's not signed on a team. It's a destination folks want to end up at. So
I thought
talk to me coaching. I mean, talk to me how you landed on him, how the squad landed on him, and what he brings to the roster.
Yeah, so Avicii actually caught my eyes back when we hosted the World Warm-Up V2 back last season. He subbed in for Shopify. I think Shopify.
Mm-hmm.
I think it was Shopify. He subbed in for them. And I remember watching their match against Space Station, which this was, the win every event Space Station, World Championship Space Station. And he was frying. And I knew that he was a young up and comer. I knew he had been cleared of any there was no cheating allegations against him or anything to worry about there.
Yeah.
But you see young up and comer, and then you see them frying like that against Space Station. I know it's online, but it was still impressive. And it was not just he's hitting shots. He was backing down from fights, playing his life, holding powerful positions, making plays with the op, all the stuff that you want from a really good player. And that's when I was oh man, this kid's next up, because I had never heard of him before that.
Mm-hmm.
And I was high on Last Shot. I still am. So I'm okay, this is, in my mind, I'm cooking. This is the next Last Shot. I'm gotta keep a mental note. And obviously I had a plan that I can admit didn't really work out for our roster for this season, but so I never got the chance to really explore him as a player and if there was a way to work him into the mix. But now that the opportunity was there, and LG was being really fair about releasing him from his contract, and so he was basically a free agent, and I think that he played well. I mean, we beat them, we beat that LG team in Arlington, but I still think he played well. He still stood out as a player. Even their series against the LATAM team, he was the one standing up and yelling back when he's popping off, and trying to quiet down Nugget and all of those guys on Ether who are just popping off and have the time of their lives, beating up Piggy. So seeing him answer that call on LAN, he's not nervous, he's playing his game. It just made sense that with the right direction, both through the stuff that I've learned over the time and my coaching, the stuff that Cherish brings, Tyler's leadership, Mental's championship winning mentality, this is the perfect clay that we can just mold into the perfect player and then win championships with. So that was the mindset going into it, was like, he's what we need on a lot of fronts, and we can teach him the stuff that he doesn't know because he's young and ready to prove himself.
I think you brought up some really huge points for people watching at home, whether they're getting involved in Halo esports or anything in life. And this is a piece of advice that I try to give often. It's like, you never know when an opportunity is going to present itself in anything you're doing, whether it be music, gaming, sports, like your personal life, business life. But what you can control is whether or not you're going to be ready for it or not. And so it's up to you to always be in a position where you are stocked up and ready to roll. If a door is cracked, you're going to kick it open, right? Because obviously he just had a shot at filling in on a team for a random thing, and it caught your eye, it caught all these different people's eyes, and he was ready for his moment. And when it came, and now he's on a partner team, he's looking good, right, for the rest of the season. But also too, Nick, like, this is one of the things about you that I've always like respected, and something that was a flaw in my like oversight for years when I was a player, is like your ability to take risks on young players. Like, it's a risk. Sometimes it works out, sometimes it doesn't. But I've always respected the fact that you are always willing to at least try when someone it looks as good as they do. Whereas I'm like the guy, I'm like, just give me Ryan Noob every time. Like, I'm cool. Like, we'll be good. Like, like I could trust it. Like, I'm gonna go with tried and true. But yeah, I'm really looking forward to seeing how this roster performs. I mean, you and I had a discussion right after Arlington where we said, like, the online results have to start to match up more, that we have to start to raise the bar on, like, we can't just chalk it off as like, that was online, we're gonna be better on LAN anymore, because LAN is looking more and more similar to online, especially in year 4 of Infinite. How's the roster looking online so far? Have there been, like, you don't have to go into detail, obviously, scrims, top secret stuff, but do you already see like that improvement happening? Are you seeing the roster, take the steps that you were hoping for the last one?
Yeah, it's tough to really, like, I mean, just being open and transparent with everybody. Like, there is the side of me that's like, obviously losing Huss and losing Precision was like, losing 2 friends, right? Because they are. And it was tough to admit my vision for the team was wrong, and that concept or that project failed. But it's also tough because, like, I came into this, and I've already talked to Joey about it, to Cheris about this. Like, I came into like teaming with him with bias. Like, I had a one-on-one call with him, like, right after we kind of told him, like, okay, yeah, we're picking you up. And I was like, look, like, I've never had anything against you. I've never had any bad interactions with you, but for some reason, I've just always gotten a bad vibe. And I've always kind of looked at you in this mindset of like, we're cool, but I don't want to hang out with you.
Yeah.
And I want to fix that. And I want us to like work together, and I want to tell you what I'm about, and I want to learn what you're about. And I want to learn, the stuff you've had coaches do that you loved, and the stuff that you've had coaches do that you don't like, that you wish they would do differently, so that I know I can cater my style to you. And I think that helped like immediately clear that air. And like, that conversation, we talked for probably like 45 minutes to an hour, just like theory crafting and talking about how we want to approach the game, and how we want to handle different situations as a team, and getting on the same page about that stuff. And I think it helped get, some respect to, helped him respect me a little bit more, and then vice versa, helped me respect him a little bit more, so that we could have that mutual understanding. And then, I know it's going to be a process. Like, we're not a team that's going to honeymoon. Tyler will tell you every single time, he never has had a team that does well in scrims or well online, and then they go to the event and they get second. And so that's frustrating, right? Like, this is the part that I don't talk about. Like, it's frustrating seeing the people, and it almost like causes twinges of doubt when you like, we let go of Precision, and then Incognito wins the next open, or like the qualifier, right? And like, they look really good doing it. And like, yeah, there's honeymoon phases, but like, it still was impressive, right? Mm-hmm. And so it always causes that twinge of doubt. But I'm confident in the 2 guys that we've picked up. I'm confident in the process and the steps we're taking to build for long-term success, not just, riding a temporary high. And I think that these guys are bought in to that system, which is really important to me. Like, they respect each other. They're like, Cherished is like hitting me up for feedback after scrims. We can lose a series, and we can sit down and watch the whole series back as a team, like right after the loss, and talk about things and maybe argue a little bit. But like, get on the same page about stuff because we know we only have 3 weeks to get our
Yeah.
stuff together.
No one's tilting, getting offline, and like closing
Yeah.
the communication off and things like that. Yeah.
Yeah, and like I get it when that stuff happens. Like hell, there's been times where I still haven't watched anything from Arlington, but it's one of those things where it's like it's fresh, or it's nice seeing that freshness of people like, okay, yeah, it sucks that we lost, but like, why did we lose? Like, let's figure this out. I want to be better next time. And I'm starting to see the stuff that we talked about. Like, we kind of boiled it down to the basics of basics that we need to improve on. And I'm seeing them implement that stuff. And that's what's like showing me, okay, we made the right decision. Even if like the results right now, like we're probably down, I don't know what we're scrimming Ether right now. I don't know what the score is. It was 3-0 when we started it's 5-1 in Ether's favor, right? Neither's a really good team, don't get me wrong. But like that's a team on paper that we should be able to, beat or go even with. And so that's like, that could easily cause doubt. I could see fans saying like, oh, you guys made the wrong move. You don't have precision anymore to carry you guys. You don't have us anymore to do the dirty work. Trust the process. Like we're doing the things that we know we need to do to improve. And that's what I care about.
Yeah. I love that for you. I love that for us. I love that folks are willing to work. I think every loss can be a lesson if it's treated the right way and if there's the right mindset going in. And if you have players that are willing to learn, it sounds like we have that. And obviously, I trust your leadership. I trust Tyler's like veteran leadership. I've never really had much interaction with Mental, but you don't win as many tournaments as you use one without having just a god tier mindset. So looking forward to seeing how that goes. Which random like ADHD squirrel thought that pops in my head. Are you going to be just side note? Question. I'm curious to hear from you. Are you going to be hoisting any trophies when Gears of War Reloaded drops? Or
Billy and I have already talked about what our next Gears team looks like. Yeah, I don't know. Gears Reloaded, the remake of a remake. It'll be interesting to see what that is. I've reinstalled Gears Ultimate Edition to start getting ready for it, but that one definitely caught me. It caught me by surprise. And
does Gears 2 just not exist to you guys? Because I'm like, we're remaking the first game for the third time, and the second one's like my favorite, bro. Like, what's going on here?
I have two theories, and both could be equally true. The first theory is the new game, Gears E-Day, which I imagine will come out in 2026, though it's not like announced. Like I have a feeling they're going to announce in a trailer, like maybe E3 this year or whatever next, Xbox showcase. They're going to show another new trailer. It's going to have some, actual gameplay footage, which the first one announcement didn't. And then they're going to say coming 2026. I have a feeling that Gears E-Day is going to play slower and darker and creepier like Gears 1 did, which is why they're setting us up with another remaster of Gears 1. And just to kind of like, okay, like get used to this. This is what E-Day is going to be like.
Yeah, we're coming back to the roots kind of thing.
Maybe I'm being hopeful in that because obviously they released Gears UE and then Gears 4 was like, fast as hell. Yeah. But or it's like, okay, we need to buy another year of time. How do we make some money in the meantime? I know. Let's just remaster what we've already remastered. Like, let's just bump it from 1080 to 4K and send it out.
Yeah. That's just insane to me.
So I don't know, but I'm hopeful. Fingers crossed.
I always was hoping for the Marcus Phoenix collection. I know we're going super off topic, but I'm like, man, it was like prime for that. Like, give me
I know.
Like, give me just like the 4K 60 FPS of all the original games, and we'd be goated.
Gears 2, man. I miss Gears 2.
Yeah, that's like my favorite one. Like I said, do you by chance have on you though the final standings from the DreamHack qualifier? Would love to dive into that. I know we wanted to discuss that. That was just a couple days ago.
Yeah, that I do. Let me go ahead and share that with all of our friends here. Let's see. We're gonna share this one. So these are the final results for the top 8. So.
Yes,
First
sir.
place, Incognito, that new Precision roster featuring, this is basically 50% Complexity alumni. Descendant, Precision, Piggy, and Yaxon. Cloud9 with the new face Lethal. So Boo Boo, Lethal, Sab, Septify. TSM reunited and feels so good in third place. Also, they've been picking fights with us on Twitter, and I don't get why. Druck, Manny, Soul Snipe, and Talik. Gen G in fourth, no changes there, and I'm happy to see that because I think that team has a lot of potential. Any Rhino team can, do anything on any given day, so I'm always excited about that. But Breaking Shot, Common, King Nick, Ryan Noob. Why don't you break down the rest of the top 8?
Yeah, and then in top 6, you obviously have our new roster. That was our first time seeing them in a cup. Avicii Cherish, Mental Spartan. One another what I would call leftover roster, where it's Ezo, Hus, Collect, Mortally. And then rounding out the top 8, Team Forsaken. Like, good to see Forsaken, land a top 8. Love that org. Love everyone that, the ownership over there. Great people. And then Dark Inside, rounding out the top 8 with Kid Nasty, Lido, Morgan, Sylvanic. I have a lot to say about that Dark Inside roster, but there's something about Sylvanic. Like, a lot of folks only watch the highest level, which I understand. Like, as someone who spent eternity in top 12, I'm used to people not talking about me. But Sylvanic has managed to like basically always form like these top tier AM rosters, like, and for every single year that the game's been out. And he's made pools multiple times. He's made lots of splashes. Obviously hasn't broken into like that household top 8, top 4 kind of situation on LAN, but really cool to see him still competing and putting together winning rosters with what he's got, especially with like, Infinite in year 4. It's still, I would say it's more competitive than ever, especially when you look at your top 16, right? Like, yeah. I think there's a lot of wiggle room between your top 12 and your top 16 there. But yeah, really good showing here. The team that I'm, obviously besides us, like, I just keep on going back to it, man. Gen G, I think it's cool to see them growing and building. And once again, it's kind of insulting to say it this way, but like Ryan Noob doing a lot with a little, you know what I mean? Like that's, I just got to give him props for that. TSM, they got Manny back and they're immediately back to 3rd, like where they've always been. Obviously, granted, this whole placement here you got to put an asterisk next to everything, right? Because none of the top 4 were in there. Exactly. Yeah. None of the top 4 were in there at all. So, yeah, that's what stood out to me. Again, wanted to shout out Forsaken. Love those guys. Love what they do for the scene in Dark Inside. But Cloud9 looking really good. Incognito looking really good. Do you see Incognito shaking things up like this on LAN, Nick? Like, what's the deal with this team?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's one of those teams where now we spent so much time gassing up LG before Arlington that, like, I mean, this is LG V2.
Now I'm like tepid,
yeah, right? Like, they swapped out Mortally and they swapped out Avicii for Precision and Descendant. I think Precision and Descendant are fantastic players. So, I could definitely see this team being more consistent on LAN than a team like the old Luminosity was. But it remains to be seen. I would say if you had to like tell me, those two teams are going to face off, the Arlington Luminosity or this team, I would say this team's going to win that matchup.
It's going to wipe the floor with them.
Yeah, I just think Precision and Descendant are really talented players. And I mean, obviously Avicii is a really talented player too, but I think Precision and Descendant can like really just put in work to like almost carry that team. Whereas I didn't see Avicii do that. I think Avicii needs more structure and teamwork around him, which is what we bring, which is why I think we'll get more out of him than that roster was able to. So yeah, I mean, I think they're the truth. I think they're still honeymoon phasing a little bit, and I think once they start like ironing out details, that's when like, you'll see tendencies of like, right now it's super easy to run around and play off damage off of each other, but like once you start kind of locking in and like needing to play smart Halo, play like timed Halo, calculated Halo, I could see that knocking them down maybe a peg, but I still think they're going to be a really strong team.
Well, I mean, even right now where they sit, winning the DreamHack qualifier, that puts them pretty much at top 6.
Number 5.
Which like, how do you respond when you're getting tested now by the best rosters in the world? Which is a question that you have to ask for each and every single one of these rosters. Like when I look at these rosters, TSM, Cloud9, us, and maybe Gen G are the ones that I say like have a shot at actually having a competitive series against a top 4 roster. You know what I mean? Whereas like it's easy to have a lot of talent and be the best of the rest. I would say when you're going to get certain types of fights, or you can just outshoot everybody. But what happens when everyone you're playing against is just as talented, if not more talented than you, and you can't fall back on your ability to win a lane by yourself anymore to kind of dominate the map, you know. So
Yeah.
we waiting to see how that kind of plays out. I'm super disappointed in our finish. I think like we basically just got top 12 again. So yeah, why don't you talk me through the event for us, how the weekend kind of played out, and what steps we need to take to improve.
Yeah, it was definitely disappointing to finish where we did. We lost to TSM in the upper bracket, and then we lost to Cloud9 in the lower bracket.
And that was a 3-0 to TSM when I watched.
3-0 to TSM. The maps, at least the first map, if I remember correctly, was pretty close. I think the second map was Coliseum Slayer, and like that's our worst map, like hands down. I don't remember what third map was, but yeah, it was like they were definitely riding like the high. Like they looked like a team that, you know, has 5 years of experience teaming with each other, and we look like a team that, you know, we all queued matchmaking at the same time. So that's kind of what we're focusing on fixing, is like like I said earlier, the basics. Like we're just kind of playing the game, but we're not playing it around each other. And if we start doing that, then like the scores won't look that way. Same thing in the Cloud9 series. And honestly, like the difference between Saturday and Sunday, like we looked way better on Sunday against Cloud9 than we did against TSM on Saturday. And that series, even though I think the score was still 3-0 or 3-1 against Cloud9, like it was a super close series. And frankly, 2 of those maps we just choked. But again, that comes down to like, you know, reps as a team. This is still,
continuity. Yeah,
that's still 3/4 of the roster that got top 6 in Arlington, and they replaced, you know, Manny, who is another like dirty work player, with Lethal, who's, you know, a world championship winning GOAT, right? So
the turret,
you would think they probably got a little bit of an upgrade there, plus more chemistry. You know, Boo Boo and Lethal teaming together prior on Sentinels all of last season, or most of last season. So, you know, it sucks. It sucks that we placed where we did, but at the same time, like I saw growth just from Saturday to Sunday. I'm seeing growth like now in our scrims, and so that matters to me. Like we already did our job. Like we got pool play. If anything, we got the pool I wanted. We got, and we'll talk about that. In fact, I'll go ahead and switch to that now.
Your face says it all, right? You look like a kid in a candy store right now. You're like,
well, like you look at
chomping
it, right?
at the bit.
The hardest 2 teams that you're gonna have to play are Shopify and Optic, right? Like just based on how successful FaZe looked like monsters at the last event. So
they looked insane. Yeah,
clearly you don't like really want to play them as a brand new team. And you know, if you're gonna play any of the top 4 with a chance of beating them on a Friday, then like you got to look at Space Station. And so I wanted Space Station's pool. I'm confident that we could take Optic. I'm confident that we could take FaZe. Shopify, I'm still nervous about just because their playstyle is so fast. But after yesterday's scrim against them, I'm feeling way better about that. So I got the pool, or we got the pool that I was hoping we would get. Obviously, I wasn't hoping we would be 12th seed again, but you know, it's literally deja vu.
We're sneaking in there in the back. You know what I mean? There's a couple things that jump out to me when I look at the pools in general. First of all, there's like no freebies, like anywhere. Like I look at a roster like Gen G, who's done so well, and look at what they're rewarded with TSM and Optic in their pool. Our pool, like I definitely think it's the one I would want to be in. If I'm looking at all the pools, however, it is Pool D, which means the first place open team is going in there, so it's going to probably be Ether. So it's like you're looking at a pool where you have Incognito, Ether, and Space Station. Like I think one day we could wake up and win that pool, and the next day we could get knocked out in that pool. You know, I mean, based on our track record and a little bit of our inconsistency issues. So, but it is like the ideal spot where it's like at least there's a path there. Some of these other pools, you look at Shopify, Nemesis, like there's not really a path there. Like I'm sorry if you're one. But you're getting third in that pool. You know what I mean? Like the other one, FaZe Clan, Cloud9, like Zero Tenacity. Again, love those guys. You're getting third in that pool at best. You know what I mean?
I mean, are they? Like you really can't. You know, you can't knock them. They beat TSM at Arlington. Like,
they did, which was a shock. Yeah.
I mean, yeah, it was a shock, but they still like they did it, and really, it shouldn't have even gone to Game 5. But like, they still did it. So I think you can't count out that team. Do I think Cloud9 beats them? Probably. Does FaZe beat them? Definitely. But could they beat Cloud9?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm willing to say like I wouldn't bet my house on it. So there's at least so you're saying there's a chance.
Yeah,
You know what I
exactly. Exactly.
mean? Yeah, looking at these pools though, I mean, we talked about our pool. Uh we love where we're at. Obviously, that matchup against Incognito is going to be something
Hmm.
to see. Lots of storylines between the players there.
Oh yeah.
In that matchup, it's going to be lit. I do think like I don't know. I get scared of like the we just let you go buff. You know, it's like come back to bite me and us too many times in my life to where I'm like, oh gosh, like I've seen this movie play out again. But looking at the pools, rank them, Nick. Which pool? Let's go most dangerous to, we obviously know pool D. This is where we want to be. But pool A, B, C, how would you rank those in terms of difficulty? 1, 2, 3. Would you take it as it is, A, B, C, or would you kind of switch things up a little bit?
I would.
I'm going to put pool B first. I'm telling you right now. I think that pool is ridiculous.
Yeah, that's okay. So my issue is, I think Shopify and Optic are interchangeable in terms of difficulty. Like, yeah, I know Optic won. They won their home event. But I still think Shopify is obviously a really dangerous team. I have Nemesis over TSM, but I have Gen G over 1.
Oh,
so
okay.
I'm like, that's where I'm torn. Like, I don't know if the difference in Nemesis over TSM is the same as the difference in Gen G over 1. Like, I think 1's got a lot of really young, chaotic talent, but I don't see them getting on the same page in time for the event. Whereas Gen G is going to be like, 6 chapters deep in the Orion Noob system. Like they're going to be cool, calm, and collected and calculated, right? So it's like,
yeah. I have so many question marks about 1, dude. Like, I'm a huge Mortally fan, so Mortally, if you're watching, you can DM me and let me know. But like, who's the leader on this team? Like,
yeah,
you know what I mean? Who, like, you look at Gen G, it is extremely clear. It is Ryanoob. You look at TSM, it is freaking Talik. It is very clear. You look at Optic. I mean, I don't know. Maybe we'll go formal or something. But it's like very clear. Like, you look at these rosters, like who's, not that you need like a dedicated necessarily IGL, but like leadership, I think is something that's important. And I think the more leadership you have on your team, even if it's multiple people, I think the better off you are, because then you have more solutions to problems. Because really, a Halo match just boils down to like solving problems on the fly and solving them faster than your opponent can, right? So when you look at a lot of these rosters, like you look at Optic, like they're so smart and so fast. They solve every problem extremely quickly. Shopify, I would say, is the same. I would put FaZe in that same camp as well. They're extremely fast at solving problems. Like, will 1 be able to, like I said, 1 is one of those rosters where I see them, they could get top 6 and I wouldn't be shocked at all. But also, too, I can see them getting blown out by the best teams, you know what I mean, in the game.
Yeah, that's an interesting one.
It's a lot of talent. It's a lot of freaking talent. I wouldn't mind. I would coach that team.
Oh, yeah?
Maybe they just need like a goated coach, to pull it all together.
Well, they have Hoaxer coaching them.
That's true. And I would put him in the category as goated coach. So that's what they need right there. He's a player coach, which you love to see. Someone that's still active on the sticks, still in matchmaking 8 hours a day. But yeah, I would say I would go BAC, I think is how I would rate the pools for me, at least personally. Man, I can't get over how competitive this thing is. Like back in the day when you would see pool play graphics come out, there was always like holes in all the pools. You know what I mean? And it's like the only holes I see are like the unknowns. Like, is Zero Tenacity going to come out as hot as they did again? You know what I mean? Is Incognito going to live up to being the 5th seed in Pool D? Like, are we like, what are we going to do? I have no idea. Like at this point, you know what I mean? So
it all comes down to like, who put in the work and which work was the most effective, because a lot of these teams, Incognito, us, 1, like we all got to kind of figure our stuff out and be ready to match up against some of these teams that have been, relatively unchanged since, or no changes at all since the last event. So it's definitely a tall task. I think our pool is probably the most interesting, just because I think on any given day, either of us, Incognito or us, could beat Space Station. And, I think on it, like the matchup against us, like us and Incognito, like right now, is going to be really interesting to see on LAN.
Yeah.
So yeah, there's a lot of. I don't want to do predictions, but like
Yeah,
not
we're
in
gonna
this
wait for that.
episode.
We're gonna wait for
But
that for sure.
there's definitely a lot of like interesting storylines here, and I'm really excited to see how it plays out.
I haven't seen a lot of scrims and stuff lately. Obviously, I've been on a bus. I've just been out of the mix. Like,
Literally.
is Space Station? Have they been like pulling it together? Have we seen any signs? Do we like from them yet? I'm still waiting for them to kind of reach form.
So I saw them. They scrimmed the other day against Cloud9. They won 12-5.
Okay.
So that's a pretty solid result against a strong Cloud9 roster. I don't know if they've scrimmed. They scrimmed one. They won 12-2. And before that, I don't think they scrimmed at all because they scrimmed us 5-2. They scrimmed us. Oh yeah, that's right. Our first week. Sorry, 15-2. So yeah, I mean, like they're scrimming. They look good. I think that they're still figuring stuff out, but I think like even just looking at the recent scrim against Cloud9, it looks like they're starting to hit their form. It looks like Lucid's getting more comfortable, which I think is the key to success for them. And it's a lot of really intelligent people on that roster, so I think it'll be a stronger version of them. I think anybody who thinks they're going to be the same version as they were in Arlington is grossly underestimating how intelligent that roster is. So I expect them to be a stronger version for sure.
Do you think they win an event this year?
No.
Do you want to bet a Pokemon card pack on it?
Sure, that's easy. No,
you got it. You heard it here first. I'm putting a Pokemon card deck on it. I think Space Station wins one. I'm sticking by it, dude. Like I said when this roster formed, I said Space Station wins one. I said Shopify wins one, and I think Optic wins two. That was the way I felt. I wanted to leave Worlds up for interpretation. Who knows what's going to happen by the time Worlds rolls around? But I really do. Like I have a lot of belief in those players, man. I think Eco, he always finds a way, dude. He always cracks the code, and finds a way to win. So I still see them pulling together, hopefully by Salt Lake, right? Like their home event, yeah. I think, so I'll be monitoring them.
If they were going to win, it would be the Salt Lake event where they have like all of that energy from the crowd and everybody working with them. But it's tough to say because like any given event, right? They have to go through Optic, they have to go through Shopify, and they have to go through FaZe. And I don't see them right now being able to do that cleanly. Yeah, or even messily, honestly. Like even
which
when
sucks.
Things get
it sucks to say because like if you look at Arlington to now, they've in our minds they've fallen back, right? Like we thought they were the third best team for sure, and then that event came around and FaZe was just dominated, dude. Like up until they played, was it Optic? Up until they played or Shop? Who did they play first? Shopify, up until they played Shop, they were untouched in that event. Like they look like if you just took pools by themselves, like, oh, FaZe is the best team at this event. They didn't drop a game, the entire pool. You know what I mean? Didn't drop the game all the way up until playing Shop, and then all of a sudden now FaZe is the third best. We used to say, hey, will FaZe be that fourth best team that kind of closes the gate on everybody else? Now it's like, no, FaZe is in the top three. It's like Space Station now clinging on, defending the top 4 position, and just not what I was expecting coming into the season so far. So like I said, I definitely expect them to bounce back.
Yeah, I think they have potential, but I could see them moving up to 3. Like if FaZe has a bad event, because I feel like FaZe is going to be a team that like is riding momentum. So if they're like having a rough event for whatever reason, I could see Space Station just out teamworking them and winning that series. But I think Shopify is so strong. I think Optic proved that on land they have the mantle to take on anybody. So it's just. I think that's a really tall task for them to be able to beat both of those teams. Like maybe they can get bracket blessed and somehow squeak one out. Like FaZe in Arlington, you could argue kind of had a blessed bracket, like especially the way we played against them. Like we fell really flat against them. I think Nemesis was kind of their first real challenge, and they looked good against Nemesis. And then who'd they play? I guess it was those two, and then they played Shopify in winners finals. So like when they met their first, top dog, they got what, 3-0'd?
I think it was 3-1. I believe. Yeah, I believe it was 3-1. So, it might have been a 3-0. I'm not sure. Yeah.
Like maybe Space Station could have a bracket like that and find themselves in a situation where like they just have to beat one team to be top 4 or top 3. Like,
Yeah.
that's possible.
I'm just like, we're not doing the prediction event now. I'm just saying, looking at face value, the pools, I don't see any crazy shakeups on the level of Arlington Optic coming out second in their pool like we saw last event. So I really do think we're going to see more of a balanced bracket.
Yeah.
And I'll leave it at that for when we do our prediction show. But I got to shout out Nemesis again on Twitter. They've been cracking me up. When the pools came out, they immediately tweeted, "I guess we'll see you in bracket play, Optic," with like they're all so excited, funny. Like, we can't wait to play you again. Like
the best part about that is like it's one of those like self-deprecating. It's like, yeah, we're gonna get second in our pool, and then we're gonna face you in bracket play. We're gonna smoke you. Like, that's so funny.
They're like, we're cool with getting second. We know how to beat you. We'll see you there with our little freaking mascot. Like, oh my gosh, that org is hilarious to me, and I think that they're something that Halo scene has sorely been needing, like some personality, some characters, some fun in the mix. You know what I mean? And year 4 Infinite, man, it's exciting. We're only 2 weeks away from the next event already, dude. And I'm trying to be there in person. I'm trying to freaking hang out. Every time I don't show up, the squad freaking falls flat. So I guess I just got to go cheerlead. I'm just got to summon myself,
Yeah, you definitely do. We need that extra support. We need that extra voice. Which, shout out to the people in Arlington, like the crowd in Arlington, whether it was for us or against us. Like, that hype is always so much fun. So I'm excited to see DreamHack, and I know that crowd's going to deliver too, because you've got so many esport events under one roof, like CDL, CS, like StarCraft. I think there's even a chess event. Like, it's gonna be so sick.
It's another opportunity for Lupo to cheat some more in person. Let's go.
Oh gosh, no, we're not getting into that. We cover Halo drama.
Well, with that being, yeah, go ahead.
Speaking of Halo drama, I want your thoughts on something that popped up yesterday on Twitter, and that is LVT being forced to put a 1-minute delay on their broadcast for like open tournaments, online tournaments. What do you think about that?
I get it for sure. I definitely get it. I think it's like they're at a high level, like in Infinite specifically. You were talking about it earlier, and you nailed it when you said like sometimes you have to change gears and you have to play slow, right? Like, if you're playing slow and you got 6 monitors and your monitor next to you has the broadcast up live, and you could just have the audio on, just listening to what the commentators are saying, and now blah 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 has the camo, he's making his push-up drive, we'll have to wait and see. You know what I mean? Like, it is cheese, and it is like possible. I would say I for sure have never ever like cheesed the broadcast like that in an online tournament that I've been in. But I do know of tons of players who have.
Really?
Like, yeah, and it's like, it's just like, it's too easy to fall into it when it's just right there. It's like, you and I have been in plenty of main stage matches where there's a moment where things die down, and all of a sudden you can hear the commentators start coming through your headphones and stuff, and it's like, whoa, like, hold on a second, you know what I mean? But you're able to like kind of block it out and like be in the zone. Whereas like you're home by yourself, there's not really any risk. There's no risk reward. It's just reward, basically. You're not gonna get caught doing that. And so I definitely think that it makes sense, for LVT to do that. And shout out to them for acknowledging it, being down to make it happen. It doesn't affect the viewership experience at all, because none of us are watching the matches live anyways. You know what I mean? Like, for the casual person watching at home, they're just seeing it as it comes to them. They're not watching it in person or in game or something. So it's not like the delay really affects them. It only, in my opinion, it only creates a little bit more of integrity, competitive integrity. So I'm all for it. I'm surprised it didn't happen earlier. Yeah.
So LVT, I know, is against it just because they like having their broadcast talent being able to interact with chat. Like, to them, that's a really important part of the LVT stream experience, which I get. Like, you as a streamer, if you had a minute, between your response or your question to your chat and when you see, somebody type an answer and then there's another delay, like, it makes it hard to interact. I also don't think it's the end of the world. Like, if it's a minute, it is what it is. But I don't know. Like you said, of that happening. I know that like, my wife watches downstairs on the TV, right? Like she has the stream
Hmm.
open, and we'll finish a map. I'll come out of my office and like walk down the hall to go to the bathroom, and I'll hear the casters talking about, you know, all right, Complexity got control back. It's 200 to 150 in this strongholds. What are they gonna? And I'm like, what do you mean? We just finished. Like they're
Yeah.
so like I don't understand how somebody with like there's clearly a delay, and like obviously that's using the Twitch app on a smart TV or whatever, but like even having like we'll finish
Well,
a match and then I'll open up the stream to see like what the casters are saying after we win because I want to gas my ego or whatever. And like it's still like a solid 15-20 second delay most of the time, and I have gig internet.
Well, LVT, it depends because a lot of the big matches, LVT is in the lobby for observer, and when they're in the lobby, I think the delay is like 5 seconds, if that. I
So
think
it's that
when they're
difference of like when it's somebody else observing versus okay.
yeah,
That makes
so
sense.
like when they're in the mix in the lobby, it's a lot shorter of a delay versus the other way around. But you brought up a whole other point, which is a whole other topic of discussion that I could talk to you about for hours, which is the fact that like you brought up how they like to interact with their chat, and one of the reasons that is such a value to them, something that they have to do, is because they're not like funded by HCS
Yeah.
whatsoever. You know what I mean? So they're like counting on the Halo scene, to keep this production going, which to me is insane because they put on a professional top tier show and create so much value and have added so much value to the main HCS broadcast because of the storylines that develop through week in, week out of LVT broadcast. So like the fact that they're on an island having to like self-fund themselves is a whole other discussion that I like feel some kind of way about so deeply because they bring so much to the scene and deserve so much better, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Because in my opinion, it shouldn't matter whether or not they can interact directly with chat. They should just be getting their money because they deserve it. You know what I mean? So yeah, it's a tricky situation for sure, but I definitely I think they should be doing a delay, especially when you're covering opens where you've got AMs that are less than I don't know what the word is, less than
Honorable.
period, playing against each other. It's really
Yeah.
easy. It's really easy to choose.
Wouldn't
it.
like 30 seconds suffice though? Like let's
Yeah,
just say
I think
in a
I
world,
think 1 minute's excessive. I wonder if 1 minute came down from HCS or whatever. Like if it was, like it has to be this way because I think
Well,
30 seconds definitely kills it.
my understanding
20.
is like they were told by whoever powers that be from HCS, like, hey, put on a minute delay going forward. And I don't know if there was like an event that caused it. Like I'm biased in this discussion because I'm still annoyed that like I have to use like this cheap piece of crap to keep timers on LAN instead of the app on my phone, which is so much more streamlined and smoother. And I like that rule came across like randomly 2.5 seasons into Halo of like, hey, coaches can't use their phones anymore for competitive integrity. And I'm like, okay, like what happened? Like was a coach, like was there suspicion? And there was like, no, just like to avoid the possibility of any issues. And it's like, okay, I've been doing this for a long time. Like even if somebody in the venue, like even if the referee was texting me like, hey, the other team just grabbed camo and is doing this, like by the time he sees that, or he or she sees that, types it, sends it, I receive it, read it, process it, and comment, that camo player is like on the other side of the map.
Well, I think that it was I think they're the same issue, dude, because I think they're not ever going to say like what led to. Obviously something had to happen for someone to make a decision like this. Like it doesn't just randomly happen 4 years, not even 4 years. It doesn't randomly happen 20 years into Halo events happening where it's like all of a sudden we're changing this rule. Because when you think about the coaching situation, like people could, like I could have had the stream up. If it's like a 5-second delay between when it's happening and getting broadcast, and then I could have literally just had my phone up, watching the broadcast while I'm supposed to be coaching the team and getting max intel on as much as I can. I mean, Halo is a game of information, and like any free information is, invaluable, right? Let alone like even if it's 5-second old information, like that could make or break or change a whole push. Like, oh, it could come down to like they're heavy on the B side. C's only got one guy, just go. You know what I mean? Like even that alone right there breaks the whole thing wide open. So I think that I think a minute is excessive. I think like even 20 seconds would have sufficed. You said 30. I would go even shorter. I would say even 20.
Yeah.
But I would also say something clearly had to happen, or something had to be brought up to where it was a ruling that was made. It's a hard thing to prove, but like it could have been as simple as like someone got clipped on a stream playing in a match, like glancing over at another monitor really quick and making a move. You know what I mean? Like literally,
Yeah,
you
that
know,
wouldn't surprise me.
where it's like, hey, we don't really have evidence to know this is what for sure what you did, but the way it played out tells us enough, and it's an easy fix for us that has kind of like minimal impact unless you're LVT, you know.
Yeah. Well, hopefully it works out for the best. Hopefully LVT can figure out how to work around it, or maybe, you know, negotiate it down to a lower amount of time. I do think it is awesome that HCS supports LVT in the way of just like putting it in, like when LVT started, it was like, hey, they want to be in the lobby. Are you guys cool with them? Like, are both teams cool with it? Now it's like, hey, LVT is going to be in this stream. They're going to spectate your match. We're actually going to delay your match until the other one finishes for the broadcast. And I think like HCS kind of giving the power to LVT in that regard to like really put on good production is good, because a lot of esports would have, you know, said no. Like, there are going to be no community broadcasts of these matches. These matches are not to be broadcasted. If the players want to stream, that's fine. But like, so I think it's good that HCS is giving them that support, and you know, hopefully they can figure it out and keep up a good broadcast.
Agreed. We love us some LVT here, especially at Complexity. We've partnered with them multiple times, and they've been amazing to work with. So, you know, hopefully, like you said, hopefully it works out for them in a way that's mutually beneficial, but also maintains competitive integrity. But with that being said, Nick, we're over an hour. First episode of Opening Break back live. Thanks for helping catch me up a little bit on all the Halo shenanigans that's been going on. It's like crazy all that can happen in 2 weeks, but man, it feels good to be back. Thanks for having me.
Of course, man. It's always, I've been excited for this because like I'm itching to talk to somebody about all the juicy stuff that's been going on, the results, the matches. Like, I don't want to just talk to my players about it. I want to talk to you about it so we can like share our knowledge with the community and hopefully make somebody's day a little bit better. So appreciate you hopping on. I know you had a really busy schedule, but I'm excited to get back in the groove of things. Thank you all to everybody out there who is watching and supporting Opening Break. If you enjoyed, let us know in the chat, because we see all your messages and we love reading them. Hunter, let them know where to find you.
Yeah, I'm back on Twitch. I'm back on TikTok. I'm back on Twitter. Hunter JJX on everything. Live every single day. I was actually kind of cooking today in matchmaking. I'm not going to lie, but maybe it's just because I was unranked and I was playing against diamonds. I don't know. I think I'm still him. But yeah, it feels good to be back, and I'm happy to be in the mix. Nick, what about you, man? Where can everyone connect with you? Where can they submit their questions for Opening Break?
You can tweet at me at ThyAshes. You can tweet at Complexity Halo, so make sure you follow Complexity Halo or follow Complexity. And yeah, just be active in the chat. If you have questions, let us know, and we'll try to answer them. But that is going to do it for this episode. Thank you again, everybody, for watching. We will see you all next week on Tuesday, normal time, 4 p.m. Central, for Opening Break. See ya.
Bye, guys.